Hi, welcome in. I'm Jarrod Wood, and this is the International Association of Wood Carvers. We're going to do a Santa demo today, so thanks for joining us.
Today is the 10th of December, a little bit after 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you all taking time out of your Saturday to come in and meet with us. Looks like we have a pretty good crowd today. Just wanted to let everybody know that after today, we'll have one more meeting left for 2022. So we're coming to the end of the year. Today we have on Jarrod Wood. He's coming to us from Kansas City, Missouri. Next Saturday, we're going to have Neil Sutherland from Tennessee coming in with us. And then after that, we're going to be off the weekend of Christmas and the weekend of Thanksgiving. Or Thanksgiving, we've already had Thanksgiving. That's a good blooper for you there, Dave. So we'll be off the weekend of Christmas and the weekend of New Year's. And we will be back at the beginning of January. So far, we've got Chris Morgan, which I saw him sign on here just a minute ago. He's going to be presenting for us the 14th of January. There's going to be a couple of Saturdays that I'll be out. I'm actually flying down to Mexico to spend a little time with Chris Hammock. I'll be taking a class down there, so I'll be gone the 21st and 28th. But Dave's going to take over the meetings for those 2 Saturdays since I'll be traveling to and from on those Saturdays. And we hope to continue to have meetings. So we'll just plan on that. Wanted to remind everybody to take advantage of Wood Carving Academy. I talked to Yaron some this week on email. Want to remind you all that he has subscriptions out there. You can go out and sign up. Check out some of the past classes that have been available, some of the older videos of classes that's on there, as well as some of the new recent stuff. I think he has subscriptions for 1 month, 3 months, and a year. So you can go out, check those out. So if you're looking for something to do over the Christmas holiday, since we're going to be off 2 weeks, maybe you want to do that on a Saturday, go out and check out what he has available. Some of the instructors that are on there are in our meetings today. So they appreciate you going out and signing up and, again, taking advantage of those classes. A lot of good instruction out there. In January, there's some live classes that are going on. On January the 6th, Janet Cordell is going to have a Hitty Doll class. If you're interested in that, reach out to Janet. She'll get you signed up, tell you all the materials that you need to be able to take that class. Ryan Olson, who was on with us a few weeks back, he's a CCA member. He's going to be doing another flat plane carving class. So if you're interested in that, you've missed the past ones, make sure you go out and sign up on that. Ryan has a unique way of looking at flat planes, so it'd be great for somebody who's interested in that to sign up for his class. It's on January the 14th. Again, reach out to Ryan. He'll tell you what all you need as far as signing up for his class. And then again, Dave Stetson's on today. On February the 4th, he's going to be doing a cowboy class. He usually offers a cutout or a pattern that you can cut out your own cutout. Or he also has a rough out available for that you can purchase from Dwayne Gosnell. But if you're interested in his class, you probably need to sign up early so that you can go ahead and get that rough out ordered from Dwayne. So reach out to Dave, get signed up. He'll be happy to have you in the class on February 4th. Having said all of that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jarrod Wood. Jarrod's been on with us in the past. He's done a couple of different meetings with us. He's going to do a Santa carving demonstration today. And again, he's coming to us from Kansas City, Missouri. Jarrod, I appreciate you coming on today and joining us. And we'll go ahead and turn the meeting over to you. He is interested in any questions that you all have from the group. So feel free to unmute, ask Jarrod any question you may have as far as his process or any questions about the Santas that he carves. So Jarrod, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right. So I've got a couple Santas here that I typically carve for my tree, right? And I like a lot of, profile and detail and all this stuff. And then, this one is mahogany. But anyway, this is this type of stuff I typically carve. And, it's got a lot of depth and all this business. Well, I visited, we like to visit Branson, and I went to Pete Engler's shop, and I was talking with Mary, and I ended up buying a couple ornaments from her. And I saw this one, and this is a resin cast, but one of the things I noticed about it is it's really flat. And I was like, ooh, I kind of want to try that. I mean, I hadn't really thought about doing anything flat like this, but the thing I like about it is it suggests a lot of roundness, but it's extremely flat. So it's like giving you this idea of roundness, but it's suggested. So I was like, you know what, I want to try that. And I didn't really know how to go about it. You know, the process is kind of different from what I'm used to. And I have to figure out my own process anyways, because I don't go to a lot of classes. So I went through this set. I'm going to grab a couple of these not so good examples. And I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do this, you know. So here's kind of what I typically do. It has, you know, a profile to it. And then these are really super flat, but I was trying to get that idea of roundness. So what I found out was I kind of had to go about it a different way to get it to come out right, or at least okay. So that's what I was going to do today. Just for giggles, we're gonna go for it. So here's what I started with, is something like this. It's I don't know, maybe 4 inches tall. It's like probably about 3/4 of an inch thick, just because of what I had. So it didn't really have to be any specific dimension, but that's what I went with. So I outlined where the hat's going to be, forehead, and then we're going to have a little tassel or something over here. So that's what we're going to start with. And I'm just going to go through it. So first thing I did was I wanted to create just a little bit of plane to the face, and you know, the hat too. So I'm just going to chunk some stuff off there. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side in just a minute, but just trying to get a little bit of roundness in this. So here we go. And I'm way out in front of myself here, so I'm going to try not to cut myself. All right, so I'll grab my little marker here so you can see it's a little better. I'm going to draw that back in a little bit. All right. So next thing I'm going to do is kind of rough this face in, or set the face in a little bit. I found myself using a couple different tools for this. This is a number 11 veiner, and this is just a number 12 V tool. And I was using this V tool a lot, so we're going to use that a lot today. But you know, I don't use the wings of the V tool very much, but on this way of doing it, I do. So I come in here with my V tool and I lay it on its side. And, you know, this is nothing magical. I think a lot of people do this, but I'm trying to bring this forehead down a little bit. So I start at the center and I work my way out. Okay. And what that's going to do is I'm going to go a little deeper as I come out to the side. So I'm going to flip it around here and do the same thing over here. All right. So we're getting this forehead going. Something like that. Okay. And then I can also go in here along the side of this face and kind of step this down a little bit. Because I want my tassel, or whatever you call it, to be kind of, you know, lower than the face itself. So that's what we're doing there. So something like that. We'll take the rest of this off with the knife. And then I might clean this up just a little bit so my OCD doesn't explode on me. All right, so something like that. So we're starting to get this set in here, and I'm just gonna continue taking a little bit of this off sides to start getting some planes going. All right. So a little bit of that. We'll take the top of this hat down just a little bit here. Okay. Okay, so now it's starting to look a little bit more like the top of the hat. And I'm just kind of coming in here and rolling this knife. This is Dragon 2, I think. I like it for a lot of these rolling cuts because it really helps out. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and there we are. Okay. All right, so we can see now we're starting to get a little bit of planes going. It's a little angle on the sides, and we want the hat to have a little angle here too, but it's not going to have much. It's going to be pretty flat. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start in the center right here. And I'm going to take my V tool and move towards the edge, trying not to stab myself, of course. Always a good rule of thumb. All right, same over here. Scoot up just a little bit because I use the sides of my body to kind of brace my arms so I don't overshoot like I was just doing. Okay, so we're starting to get that knocked down a little bit. Go in here under the hat a little bit. That's a pretty good starting point. Now what I do over here is I just go right up the side and along the hat with my V tool for right now, okay? And then this one, this line here is going to come down and meet it. And my hope was to kind of make it a clean transition. That was the plan there. So that's why I did it that way. All right, so let's switch out knives here. All right. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this hat just a little bit here. Clean that up. Even it out a little bit so it's nice and round like that. All right. So let's get to the rat killing. It's the face that was a real trouble for me. Like I said, I don't have all the answers. I just try to figure this stuff out as I go. And, you know, carving for me is like a puzzle. It's like those little horseshoe puzzles and whatnot we used to play with as kids. And so it's always been like trying to figure out the process, you know. And I just ding around with it until I figure it out. Well, so that's what I did with this project. So I'm going to angle that hat in just a little bit there. Big old chips. Okay. So now the hats start to stick out just a little bit. And that's what I'm going for right there. Okay. So sliding cut here. And then I'm going to go around here and remove all these unsightly saw marks. with some really nasty paring cuts. My goodness. All right, so go around here a little bit. And we'll clean this up here before all said and done, but we'll minimize. How's that? All right. So face. The way I did these other ones, I kind of started by the typical, cut in your, round cheeks and all that, and then, work from there. But actually, this last one, I didn't do that at all, or at least not to the extent that I normally do. I actually went up here and worked on the eyes after I just kind of cut in the cheeks, and I didn't follow it all the way up here until the very end. So it's kind of like a delay in that process. So I'm going to do that here again. So let me get my handy dandy the pencil this time, because I'm not sure I can draw it that well. So let's pick a center line here. Like yay. And maybe this is the eye line here. And maybe the nose is somewhere around there. And eventually what we're going to do is draw around with our V tool. Like that. And let me mark that in with a nice black pen so you can see it a little better. So you got your nose here, sides of the nose, cheeks. Of course, our little mustache is going to be right here. Something like that. Okay. So that's what we're going to start on. All right. So you can really start anywhere, but let's just start right here and just V tool out the bottom of the nose. Okay. And we can take our V tool and rock it on its side. And that really pushes that mustache down around there. So then you go over here on the cheek. Do the same kind of deal. And I found if you take your V tool and kind of go up into this spot, this corner, you'll cut that out pretty clean. So that's what I'm going to do again. There we are. Okay, so there's a little cheekage. Okay, simple. So I'm going to even go in here with the V tool, even though I don't normally like to use the V tool for the nose. It's a little too sharp, but we're gonna move this around here a little bit. So you're going to see why. I'm just basically drawing in the planes, just like, kind of like drawing, just drawing with the V tool. So I'm going in and I'm kind of cutting deeper in this little spot right here. So the other thing you can do is if you lay your V tool on its side to do that, see how it takes this notch out right here, and it helps kind of bring that down, because we're going to have to bring this down a little bit, and we got to put a little bit of profile in the schnoz, right? We don't want it to be completely flat here. So I just wanted a little bit of dip there, something like that. Okay, it's just enough to where there's just a little bit of profile, but not much. Okay, so now I'm going to go in here and actually carve like an eye line, just a little bit one. Okay. Okay, it's pretty weird looking right now, but that's where I started. Okay, so from here, I'm going to go in here and adjust these things to where I like them. Okay, and so I'm starting to get this look to the eye where it's got a little bit of roundness to it. It doesn't look just like one plain cut. All right, so I'm going to go in here and just take this. Off just a little bit. And what that does, that shortens this up and cleans this area up. And then I'm going to take this little guy. So this is a number 11 veiner, I think. It's a U gouge. And I'm going to go in here along the side of the nose. I'm going to carve really deep in here. And I'm just pushing it way down in here. Okay. And it's starting to get that shape I'm after, which is cool. So now let's do the schnoz. Okay. So I go in here. I'm just going to angle this just a little bit. Okay. Okay, I know that looks weird right there, but bear with me. You'll see it'll go away here in a minute. So review the steps that we just did. Putting a little bit of a plane on the sides of the face here. We've carved our eye line in here. We've got a little bit of setting in of the face going on with the nose and whatnot. And the nose is pretty flat. I'm going to give it a little bit of angle here. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to take that knife and kind of roll it off the end of the nose. And do a little notching on the sides. Typical nose stuff, right? You guys have seen that stuff before. Maybe a little right there. So same basic idea as all the other stuff we do. Okay, there we are. So you can start to see that nose is popping out, which is what we want. Take those unsightly saw marks off there, or whatever gunk was on there. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start working these cheeks down incrementally, okay? And I do that by the process that I'm putting the eyes in, okay? So let me go up here just a little bit and clean that up because that's bugging me. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to clean up this forehead line here. Forehead line, that didn't even make sense. But it was icky looking, so it needed to get unicked. So now you can kind of see where we're at here. We've got this eye line in, we've got the nose in. We're in pretty good shape. How do we do these eyes? Well, you can do squinty eyes like Peter Engler did, which he kind of put just a little dot of white in there. And I thought that was really cool. I wanted to try something like that. I did a terrible job here, but somebody said he looks like Cheech Marin, and I totally get it. I should make a Chong one to match it. But anyway, it was an experiment. So, or you can do like a squinty eye like that and just leave it like that. Or you could have a regular looking eye and paint it. So the next few things we do here, you can really use the same technique and do it any way you please, which is really cool because it's just one way of doing it to get the result. All right, so I'm going to go in here again and just clean that up a little bit. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is take my V-gouge and just give that a little bit of sweep, if you will. Just a little sweepy. Okay, so now he's starting to look a little bit more jolly, I think. All right, so here's what I did to get this this look I was after. All right, so I wanted kind of a mix of like a flat plain eye, I guess you can call it. I do a lot of these squinty eyes simply because I just feel like he looks jolly. So I like it. But I do like to carve eyes. I can carve eyes. I just don't do them a lot on these Santas because I like a jolly Santa. So that's why I do it that way. But, and I know this looks weird, but just bear with me on this. Normally you wouldn't have an eye slit here. You'd build an eye mound like you see a lot of the good carvers do. Well, we're going to try it here anyways. Okay. So we've got the slit in here. We've got a little bit of a cut in here at an angle, right? And then we're going to take this veiner and we're going to carve eyelids on this eye mound. So you do an eye mound just like you would normally. If you want to, paint the eye and have a round eye, you just wouldn't do these little cuts in here. Or you could, and you just open it up, open the eyelids up a little bigger. So I'm going to go around this eye mound thingy that I drew, scientifically speaking. And see what I'm doing there? So you really want to go in deep here. Okay, and then you can just take your tool and really go in deep right there. And then I'll even do it on the bottom eyelid. And just kind of going up to that line, not worrying about it too much. We're just kind of getting this set. So same deal here. Follow that around. And you kind of want to you want to give it a little bit of breathing room. You don't want to crowd that line too much. So get in there and go in deep. And then turn this around here. Oops. All right. So now he's starting to look like he has some eyeballs. Now, one of the things, and I guess it doesn't really matter when you do it, but it's probably, if you're going to carve the slits, it's probably better to do it before you carve in the eye mound. That way you don't knock off your eyelids. And you can just set them in like that, or one of my favorite ways of doing it is you get your knife in here and it's almost like a chip carving cut. It's one of those moon shaped ones. And you can get in there pretty deep with it. You just got to be careful. You can get a pretty deep cut there. So whatever way you want to do it, perfectly fine. As long as you get some slits carved in there. Something like that. All right. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit because it's nasty looking. And then we'll continue. So I'm also going kind of deep here on the outside as well. So deep there, and it really helps out the roundness of the eye. All right. There we go. All right, so next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go in here with my knife and just take a little bit of this forehead off right here so he doesn't look so angry. There we go. Okay, so just a little bit of that. A little bit right there, maybe. Just a little bit. Clean it up a little bit. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this bottom eyelid off because it's just a little bit huge. All right. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go around here and kind of start working the cheeks down because they're, as you can see, they're kind of sticking up past her eye. So, and we'll just take that down a little bit. We can go down here and round those out just a little bit. Try not to break the tip of her knife off, being silly. Okay. So now we're starting to get it knocked down a little bit. The cheeks are starting to come down kind of the same zip code as our schnoz. And that's kind of what we're going for, because right now, or at least before, they were above. So as we go in here and start incrementally working this down a little bit, they're going to become proportional to her nose. All right. Just a little bit of that right there. All right, so now you can start to see that the cheeks are coming down a little bit. Not so outlandish compared to our nose, and that's okay. That'll work. All right, I'm gonna go in here with my little tool. Okay. There it is. We'll defuzzify this. All right, so now we can start to see that we're getting this looking a lot more like a set of eyeballs. And I'm gonna clean this up just a little bit here. There we go. All right, so now we need to figure out how we're going to finish these eyes, okay? And one of the ways I like to do them is I'll go in and kind of tuck this lower eyelid up underneath the upper eyelid. So I'm going to take a little, I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. I'm going to kind of follow the plane of the eye a little bit. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut a little triangle out there. That kind of tucks it back in there a little bit. And we'll do it the same on this other side. Ooh, that is ugly. Let's fix that up. All right, so same deal here. Okay, something like that. And this one needs to be brought in just a little bit. Symmetry is not one of my finer points. All right. There we go. We'll make the eyelids about the same. All right, so the other thing you can do is you can go in here and the inside and do that as well. I'm gonna open that up a little bit. There we are. Because I'm just gonna put some black paint in there when I paint this. I'm just gonna give them a little bit of actor's makeup, if you will. So that's gonna just have black paint in that little spot, and then just a white dot, just to suggest a hint or a glint. I mean, so I'm gonna do the same thing over here as I did over there. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stay with like the shape of this eyelid. So when I go in, I kind of follow that shape, you know, and then come over here and then notch that puppy out. So I'm gonna open that up just a little bit so I can fit my black paint in there later on. All right. So we'll make it match here. All right. So there he is. Next thing is just a little cleaning up. All right, so I'm going to go in here and deepen this notch just a little bit here. And what I end up doing, what I find myself doing, is I end up going deeper than I need to, like by default. And it's really not necessary on this type of flat carving. You just want, you're just suggesting, you know, so I have to kind of stop myself a little bit because I'll go too much, you know, I'll overdo it. And I typically do overdo it. That's one of my weaknesses, if you will. So we've just got a little bit of, I don't know what it is called, nasolabial folds. On the sides of the nose. I'm gonna get in here and round out those cheeks a little bit. So I'm just going right off the end, and then I'm turning my knife a little bit as I come down to just try to round those out. And I'm gonna redraw the cheeks in a little bit with my V tool. Okay. Next thing, I go in here and I just go right next to the nose, and then I angle my knife and take a little bit of a curved cut like that. And we'll defuzz it here. All right. So nose is sticking out a little bit. Mustache, we got to get that in there. I was telling you about the forehead and how it kind of looked wonky. So here's one of the ways I bring that down. I actually take a notch out on either side of that brow line. And it gives it just a little bit of a look. It's so we just put a little smile lines and stuff in there. Going in here, gonna cut these eyelids a little bit so they look a little bit more intelligible. You can see them. And then I go right around the corner there and bring that up a little bit. So I just kind of came around and just right underneath. Little notch. All right. That's about enough of that. Let's do some eyebrows. So I'm just going to do a couple little notcharoos there. And the thing that I would say is don't go too deep about these notches, just enough to suggest a little bit of furriness there, but not too crazy. And I'm just going to paint in the rest of them, but just trying to suggest a little bit of something going on there. All right, and that's all I'm going to do there. So now let's get the mustache in. So let's see here. Let's do. So I'm starting at the center, and I'm not as deep at the center as I'm going to eventually go out here on the sides. So brought that around. Okay. We'll bring that down a little bit. All right, so now I come around again, finish that cheek. See how that kind of came to like a finishing point right there, right up underneath the hat. And then I just kind of tie this mustache line into that groove I just made. Do such a hot job on this other side, but so we've got a little mustache going on there. Bring those cheeks down a little bit. Boom. Okay, we can go in here with our knife and take this down a little bit, or the other way of doing it is you rock your V tool on its side and it'll do it for you. Okay, let me fix this right there. All right, so, and sorry about the sunlight, it's starting to come in a little bit. I'll move around a little bit. So let's clean up this mustache. Just a little bit of that. And you can grab a tool like this. It's like slightly rounded, and you can do that actually with this. But what I'm trying to do is just give this mustache a little bit of shape to where it isn't quite so flat, because the problem with this technique is, or this idea is, it can get pretty flat and boring. So let's go in here, put our tassel back in. All right. So let's carve the end of this tassel. Okay. That nasty old line I just made. All right. There we go. All right. Now we're cooking with gasoline. So next thing, work the beard down a little bit. I do try to give the beard a little bit of shape. Because if your beard is too flat, it really makes using your V-gouge and stuff really hard, I found. So I try to give it just a little bit around this, because then when I texture this, it is a lot easier for me. So all right, got out of camera view again. So what I'm going to do now is just on the bottom of this beard, I'm going to work those saw marks off, but I'm just going to kind of use some raggedy old cuts to do it. And what that does is give it a little texture. Okay. Let's just make this just a little bit deeper. There we are. All right, so let's do one more thing. Let's add a lower lip. So I'll draw it. And one of the things that I was doing a lot of was making them too big. And they don't really need to be that big. I'm going to turn just a little bit here because I got to block out the sunlight. Okay, so well, I just cut the end of his lip off. Let's try that again. Make a new lip. All right. There we go. Let's see here. We'll use this guy. Maybe it'll work a little better. All right. There we go. I got a mess here when I rip that guy off, didn't I? We'll get cleaned up, don't you worry. I keep working these cheeks and whatnot down a little bit, so I'm happy with them. And So we've got a little lip in there, and a little bit smaller in here, and carve a little spot out there so it looks like a lip. There we go. And then I'm going to go in here and fix some of the stuff up because I get in a hurry and it looks pretty horrible right now.
You're out of frame.
Sorry. All right, so work that beard down just a little bit. And then next thing I'd probably recommend doing is fixing up the hat. So we're gonna do that. Let's do a tassel. So maybe and maybe another one. Something like that. And that's really big and I don't like it. So we're going to take that down. Better. Shake this up a little bit. Go in here and give him a little smile line, maybe. A little crow foot. Okay. And you, if you want, you can even use your V tool to do that, but I think that the knife maybe does a little better job, you know. But one thing I do like to do is take my veiner and take a little bit out of the corner right there, and that just opens that up a little bit because I think it can get kind of get that little chip out of there. It can get a little crowded, and so by opening that up, it just gives it a little bit more. I just removed a little bit of wood right here of that cheek with that veiner. So, all right, so we could go in here and clean stuff up all day, but it's 4 o'clock Eastern, so we'll cut to the chase here. So let's do some mustache refinement. One thing I saw done one time that I thought was pretty cool was just taking a little curved cut. You can do it with a gouge too, but just a little curved cut underneath the cheek there. It's just a little bit of a kind of a U-gouge shaped thing. I'll do it with my gouge so you can kind of see it there, but it's a little bit of a notch right there. I normally do it with my knife though. So that adds a little interest there. And then just a couple little marks on the old stasheroo to let people know that it's a mustache. And here's a way of doing it with your knife. So I go in with my knife and I cut straight down and I slice. And then I turn my knife on the side and I slice kind of down to it. So straight down, turn it on its side, slice. And that adds a little interest. So you can do that there and there. Okay. So a little mustache there. You can go in and really do it up if you want, but just by taking a little bit of a triangular cut out there. But I think that's honestly a little overkill, but you can if you want. So fix this nose a little bit and then we'll get to the beard. So when I went off of the mustache with my V-tool, I dinged up this area. So this is why I do the mustache first, is because I found if I just go back in here with my V-tool and finish cleaning that up, it takes all those ding marks right off from the tool itself. And cleans it right up, sort of. All right, so let's add a little texture to this beard. Grab a couple lines here. I'm just using just a little palm gouge. You can use a round gouge. You can use whatever you want. You can use your knife. You just kind of have to go the proper direction. And you'll have to feel that out. I usually start from the outsides on these beards and work my way in. But you can do it with your knife. But there is a wrong way to do it, I've found, because you'll tear chunks out if you're not careful. Let's see, let's do a little V-toolage down here. So I'm dinging up my beard pretty good as I'm putting this texture in here. And I'm kind of going in towards the knot, I guess if you want to call it, and then just a little bit lighter out here. So now I just go in here with my knife and touch that up. and you know, problem solved. And then same deal here. Pick those marks off. I just horrendously put into my beard. Okay, so now we can go in here with a retool and start really. And I usually start down here on a beard like this. I don't know if that's right or not, but hey, you know what? It works. So that's what I'm going to do. Start down here. And I'm going towards a point. I'm going towards this point here, right? So all my cuts are kind of curving towards that point. And be as inexact as you can be because it looks more natural. So and I lighten up just a little bit when I get a little closer to the mouth. Yeah, and then just a little bit here. Somebody commented on, I'd done some texturing on one of my hats. Let's see, where is it? This one. I did some texturing, and then I put like a little lily or something on there because I thought that was cool. Well, what I did there is I just used one of these guys and I just did a zigzag pattern. Sorry. And then crisscrossed it. Just basically chewed it up. And eventually I got what I was after, but it looks like junk for a while. So that's how I got it all textured like that. But I'm going to do a simple texturing here. So I'm just going to take my knife and give it a turn for time's sake. And one thing you can do to add a little bit of interest is just kind of make that hat line a little uneven. It's where the fur kind of comes into the hat line. You can make that a little uneven and makes it look a little bit more interesting, I think. But I'm going to do a simple texturing here. I'm just going around the edges. Working it down until you like it. And then maybe some lighter ones in the middle, some shallower ones. There we go. And see, you can erase all that stuff too. Like if you don't like it, erase it. So that's what I did. And then we'll do a couple more things here. So we'll give this a little bit of interest up here by adding a little bit of shape to the hat line. So that's really it in a nutshell, what I did. You can kind of see that I went about it in a weird way. Whereas normally I would maybe start with an eye or a brow line. This time I actually went in reverse. So I ended up doing my eye line later. So that's the way I did it. And you can see it's pretty flat. Hang on just a sec here. Little memento, por favor. Clean up the junk off of it. I'm just taking a piece of emery cloth. I know. He's sanding his carving. Yeah, I do. Just to get the junk out of it. And then it does help smooth out some of the roughness around the eyes. Just be careful. And then I'm going to give it a wash, a scrub. And that's pretty much it.
Hey, Jarrod, can you talk a little bit about your finishing process as far as your paint goes?
Sure. So I don't have a particular finishing process. Are you talking about like painting and whatnot? My painting, I do it different ways, different times. Okay, so I've done it with the boiled linseed oil, you know, soak it with the burnt or the raw sienna, etc., and then paint over it with your acrylics. Sometimes I just go straight into it with my acrylics. Sometimes I do dry brushing. And so I might start with, let's say this whole face would be a dark color, and I'd put it on pretty thin, but it would be a dark color. And then of course, you know, it would be darker in the darker or the deeper spots, right? And then once that dries, I'd go in with maybe a lighter flesh tone and dry brush it. And so you start to get, where'd that thing go? You get kind of that effect. It's kind of what was done here as well. So you get the dark lines that show, because there's quite a few dark lines that could show. But I like to dry brush. And the cool thing about dry brushing is it's really quick. You could get this painted in 10 minutes. You know, you might take, for the beard, let's say you'll do a gray. That's what I did here. Or you could do a yellow and put it on pretty strong, and then dry brush your white over top of it. Or you could do a couple different layers. So there's many different ways to do it. I don't do it one way. I kind of like to experiment around and see what the different effects could be. You know, but I don't like using the boil. Thank you. I don't like using the boiled linseed oil because I find that I can't control my paint as well. I know that kind of sounds counterintuitive because the whole point of it is you're putting on series of washes, right? but I don't find that it goes where I want it to, and I can't get the look I want all the time. I have done boiled linseed oil. Let me see. I'll show you a couple that I did. Yeah. I did a couple busts where I used that technique and had a series of washes, and it turned out pretty good. Oops, sorry, my phone was screaming at me there. But I tend to do a lot of dry brushing on these Santas, and that's a dry brushed face. And you can see the darkness and the lines and whatnot. And I think it turned out okay. So lastly, what I use to seal, people have questions about that all the time. What do you use to seal? You can really use anything. Sometimes I'll use BLO. Sometimes I'll use Howard's Feed and Wax. I think I did this one with Feed and Wax. These were done with several coats of matte clear enamel. And you can get a pretty cool effect on it. It has kind of just a little bit of shine on the facets, and it works pretty well. So yeah, that's what I use to finish. I use several different methods. I don't use the same all the time, and sometimes I'm a little lazier than others, and I just want to throw some Howard's Feed and Wax on there and be done, because I don't like painting. Does anybody else here like painting? I don't like painting. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully I didn't skip over too much, but anyway.
No, you're good. Anybody have any questions for Jarrod at this time? All right, Jarrod. I want to say thank you again for coming in and presenting with us today. That's quite a bit of information you provided there in a short amount of time, and I think a lot of people can take some of the tips that you've shared with us and apply them to what they're doing. So I thank you for doing that. Again, I always thank you for your willingness to come on and just show everything that you do and talk about it. So thanks again, buddy, for coming on here today with us. Just want to remind you all that we'll meet again next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have Neil Sutherland on. Next week, we're going to do an auction again to support the International Association of Woodcarvers. It's going to be something a little different, though. Not necessarily different in that we've never done it before, but different in that I'm going to auction up something that I don't think everybody will be able to get access to. I've got a Chris Hammock autographed signature series Helvey knife. It's the last one I'll do of the year, but Chris signed this one out in Colorado Springs. And Chris is exclusive as far as he's the only person who sells his knives. And he was willing to sign this for Rich Smithson. Rich gave it to me to auction off. And the proceeds will go to the International Association of Woodcarvers. The blade is 2 1/4. So we'll make this available next week. I'm also going to kick in that auction a 1-month subscription to Woodcarving Academy. Fred Pace, who's on here, has donated a wood carving that we're going to make available. And I'm also going to kick in a Santa ornament of my own into the auction. So there'll be several things that are available, but it's going to be one auction. We can only keep track of one auction in the chat. So if you're interested in those things, make sure you join us next Saturday, 3 p.m. You'll get a nice little Christmas pack there. If you win the auction, and again, all the proceeds will go to the International Association of Woodcarvers. I want to say thank you again for coming on today. Jarrod, thanks again for coming on and presenting for us. And we'll see you all next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the International Association of Woodcarvers. Thank you all. Dude, you're made for that. You need my job. I'll let you take over. That's awesome.
Kind man.
Let's stop this here.